obviously it's the first day back out, having spring practice, and it's always great to get back out there, get out of the office, and things have changed a little bit than they were several years ago because you have so much. You have that extended time with them in the month of February when we get off the road. So there's a little bit of a there's a some they know what to do. The players, they have a little bit more experience as far as with installation and with those things. But the whole thing is really how to practice. And we got 25 newcomers out there, 25 new guys. I think 15 of them freshmen, 10 transfers. That today was their first day going through practice the way we practice, going through the structure of it, and really the expectations of it. And the whole part of spring ball is we want the players to be able to feel the reward of improvement. We want them to be able to go out there and improve every day, get better every day, but also feel the reward for it, not feel anxious and get uptight and stressed out about having to go to practice. Practices are hard, and they're meant to be hard, and that's how you build a football team, is going through challenging situations and tough practices. I mean, we're not in pads yet, so they'll continue to get harder and harder, but we want the guys to also feel the reward for going out and practicing and seeing the improvement that they make each day. Really the thing that we're preaching to them right now is that having the right mindset coming out to practice of the attitude and the toughness that we practice with, that we play with, the frame of mind that we come out to the field with, that's more important than anything else right now. Getting the guys to understand how to run to the football, how to pursue on defense. From the start of practice, it should look the same at the end of practice. How to run to the ball on offense, how to secure a catch, make a tight turn, get north and south. Basic fundamentals at the lines of scrimmage. And really it all comes back to the attitude that they have coming out, the toughness they play with, and being able to challenge these guys with installation. But at the same time, the most important things right now are the basic fundamentals of the game and the mindset they come out with. So exciting to be back out there, exciting to see a lot of the new faces, excited to see a lot of the new coaches out there, first time on the field in a practice. So all in all, it was a good start for us with a lot of new things going on. But at the same time, we got a long way to go. The expectation that we have as coaches and that I have as the head coach, we're not close to being there yet. We got 15 days to get better this spring, leading into the summer. So we got to take advantage of each one of them.
Okay. Questions?
I wanted to ask about your new coaches. Obviously, you've been in some situations where there's been turnover. Working for Coach Saban, you saw that a lot there, where guys just moved up and moved around. How did you put together your defensive staff, and kind of can you maybe tell us a little bit about each guy you added?
Yeah. So, when I made the decision to make some adjustments and changes on that side of the football, talked to a lot of people. Talked to a lot of people in reference of guys. Talked to a lot of people as far as interviews go. Wanted to make sure that we got this right. I think the offensive staff really set a bar high as far as. And look, I'm not talking about the outcome on the field on game day. That's inevitably what the outcome becomes when you put a good staff together. But just the way that Buster goes about managing the people in the room, putting things together, the organization. The detail that's coached, the progression, the teaching progression, all of those things, and then the way that room really fits together. So that was really the standard that we're looking at, and it's you go through the process of talking to people for different spots, and really lucky to be able to hire Tyler as the defensive coordinator. He was the very first person I talked to in all of it, and fast forward, was it 4, 5, 6 weeks later. Ends up being the guy that we're fortunate enough to be able to get. He's wise wise past his years. You forget a lot of times what his age actually is, especially when you see him, the energy he coaches with, but the detail he coaches with, the toughness that he coaches with. He's been around really good coaches in his career, and I think the outstanding thing about him when you look at what he's been able to do and what he did at the last place he was at was he had a group of guys that really played. They played cohesive. They played together. They were good statistically, but that's only that's because of the way that you could tell that they were coached and that the expectation and the demands of the expectation that they had on that side of the football. So excited to get him, and Jess is a guy that I've known a long time. He's as respected as anyone there is out there as a defensive line coach. But what people probably don't know about him is just the relationships that he's able to have with those guys, the players in the room. And when you have those relationships, you're able to push them and able to do a lot of things with them and really push them out of their comfort zones. And I thought that's what we needed. But he's also a very detailed coach. He's very technique-driven to be strong technicians. He's coached at every level and had success at every level he's coached. So, excited with him. Then Kyle Pope was somebody that he was a graduate assistant in Tuscaloosa with us, and just the energy that he had at a young age. Then energy as a coach on the field, as a recruiter. The relationships he had with those guys over there at that time, and again the way he goes about every day. The recruiting part of it is huge, as we all know. He had proven then to be a very successful recruiter. Then goes on and works at a couple of different places and proved that what he was doing as a GA 6-7 years ago was able to develop that and become an even better coach. And really excited having him and working with the ends and the outside backers if we go into a 3-4 type mold. But him and Jess working together, really good pairing. Feed off each other, and really expect big things out of those two guys, and how our guys are coached and how they play. As far as on the defensive backfield, Corey, who was right down the road, again another one who was one of the first people I talked to at that position, and the relationships that he had with people in the area. When you talk to people, whether it be local high school coaches, former players that he's coached, everything was super positive when it comes to Corey and what he was able to do with a lot of the guys that he brought into the last place he was at. The relationships he had with high school coaches in the area, which I thought was a very important thing for us to address with that hire. And then Ricky, who's been here for a year already, coaching special teams, adding the corners with him. Again, it allows him to be able to affect in a different way another position group and be able to use his recruiting skills even more than we were able to last year. That, and then the last one's Trent, who we hired really 2 weeks ago, I believe. Be able to see him out there for the first time really with those guys, and it'll be exciting to watch him as well. But again, it goes back to the people you talk to in the process of hiring guys. You don't just talk to that person, once you kind of narrow it down and you get to the 2 or 3 people you're looking at, then you start to talk to people they've worked with, people they've worked for, high schools where they've recruited in the past, and just really to vet them out. And I'm excited about the guys we're able to bring on. Excited about those guys out there on the field today, and excited what they'll do with their position groups.
Can you tell a difference entering this spring versus last spring, given the momentum you built last season, and how much of a step in the right direction was last year for you?
Yeah, but that ended at the end of the bowl game. I mean, now it's over. I mean, this is a totally new team. Success is not continuous. Momentum is not continuous. I mean, if our guys didn't learn anything, I mean, look at the first game of the year last year. I mean, we had momentum in that game, and it stopped. And that's what happens. Momentum stops. Momentum comes in waves. A continuation of building a program, a continuation of building a football team the right way, and those guys believing in what you're giving them, believing in what you're coaching and teaching them. Having a standard that they strive to get to every single day. Does that help when you have success? Yeah, it helps. All right, but a lot of those guys from that team are gone. Like I said, there's 25 new guys out there today that have zero history with Georgia Tech football. So, it's a rebuild every year when you look at it like that. You learn from what you've done. You learn from the things that were done well in the past, the things that weren't done well, and what the outcome ends up being. You learn to. If you get in a hole, you can't, fold the tent. You got to, continue to fight and scratch and claw. And you use those as references, But as far as a continuation, I don't believe in that. I believe in that each team is built new each year. Otherwise, I mean, every team would win the same amount of games every year. So, this is a constant process that we're in the midst of, and we want to continue to take the steps forward and not backwards in that.
You talked about trying coming in to coach the receivers, and he's was a coordinator elsewhere. Are you looking to him for some offensive ideas with that group, or as a whole, the
I'm
offense?
just looking for him to coach the receivers at a high level, develop the receivers, and to be able to recruit his area and his position at a high level as well. That's what I expect out of every position coach. We talk about it every day in staff meeting. We talked about it with the team before practice today. Everyone is responsible for doing their job, right? If everyone will just do their job, right, and worry about being the best they can possibly be at doing what they're supposed to do, right, then we have a chance to have a really good staff and a really good football team, right? But when people start worrying about doing other jobs, people start worrying about looking around and what I need to do over here, what I need to do over there, and you look at them and you're like, well, then all of a sudden their position group's the worst position group on the field, or the lack of detail that comes with them. Just do your job. That's the key. That's what we want. That's what I really demand out of the coaches and the players each and every day. And it's easy to say, but that's one of the hardest things in the world to do. It's just, I think the old saying, stay in your lane. I mean, we've got a lot of really good ideas and smart people on the offensive side of the football. Collectively, everyone has a part in the game plan each week. But I'm not worried about any game plan right now. I'm just worried about those guys being able to, each person, each coach being able to develop their position group as best possible.
Coach Jackson?
Coach, how's Leo Blackburn been progressing from his injury and everything?
Yeah, I mean, what was it? How many months ago was that? Was that 10, 11? He's back. He was full speed, full go. I like that hat. That's cool. I think the little thing on top is what makes it the best. No, I was down at one-on-ones today with the O-line, D-line, and turned around one time and saw Leo with a nice catch across the middle, and I just looked up and said, wow, man, it's good to see.
Justin?
Brent, you've said from your very first press conference a couple buildings down that your goal was to build this into a championship program. How close do you feel this team is to reaching that top of the mountain, and what are the things that still need to be accomplished on the way to that goal?
Yeah, well, I could care less about tomorrow. I'm worried about doing the best job we can do today to build this football team to be the best team they can be today. All right? When you start worrying about the outcome and you're not process-driven and you're not process-oriented in everything you go about, then you got zero chance. I mean, to have a championship mindset, right? Yeah, we talk about that all the time. We talk about having a championship mindset. Well, that means doing the best you possibly can every single day, regardless of how you feel. All right, having the right attitude every single day, regardless of how you feel. Coming out and playing the game the right way, regardless of how you feel. Ability to affect others on the field and have those guys rise up and play to the expectation each and every day. Right? But look, I was fortunate enough to be part of one of the greatest runs in college football in my time working for Coach Saban, and not one time did he talk about a championship. Not one time did he talk about what we're going to do or win. Right? That just doesn't happen. People that talk in those terms, and they're focused on the outcome of things, right, you're not going to get what you want. Right? We're worried about each and every day being the best team we can possibly be, improving every single day, and playing the game the right way.
Go.
I wanted to ask you about Sylvain, just kind of how he's coming along with his rehab, and then also Keelan, who you brought in, kind of what his status is for the spring.
Yeah, so we, pretty healthy right now. Actually, really healthy going into spring. Sylvain is, he looks like a statue out there. I mean, the way he's built, and seeing him run around, and I mean, you see how well he's moving and doing things. You're like, man, I wish I could get him out there, but we're not going to rush anything with anybody when it comes to those things. And then so he won't be around in the spring, but he won't be practicing in the spring, but he's well on course to be full go when summer camp gets here. And Keelan had the unfortunate when he had the car accident, the unfortunate injury there, and every 2 weeks he goes to the doctor, and The last checkup's been very good, very promising. So again, we're going to continue to take it, really week by week with him, and make sure that everything heals up and is done the right way, so we can have him back for summer as well.
Rob?
Could you talk a little about the tight end position? You lost a couple guys in Benson and Leonard, but you brought in a couple of transfers that have a good track record. What are you expecting from that group?
Yeah, I mean, again, obviously we like to be in, to utilize the tight ends. I mean, it's something that can provide mismatches when you're playing offensive football. Based on what the defense has in the game. Right now those guys are really learning our system, learning what to do, and they're going to get a lot of reps this spring. So, I mean, we're in underwear out there today, so it's hard to tell anything other than guys running around and getting used to new numbers. I mean, these guys change numbers all the time. Yeah. I mean, it's like, somebody asked me, well, can you put something out with the new numbers? So the fans was like, I don't even know them yet. I don't know what the numbers are. They like change. They all want these single digits and everything. And, so it's all over the place with these numbers. I mean, I need to have like a roster myself out there, Mike, to help me know, or put like names on the back of their helmets or something. So.
More? Justin?
Just how valuable is it in the spring for the offense with a lot of new players to have a returning guy at quarterback who had so much success and brings a lot of experience to the position in Haynes?
Yeah, I mean, anytime, it's the most valued position on the field for a reason. I mean, you look at the National Football League; it commands 20% of the salary cap. I mean, that's for a reason. And he's got a lot of things he's got to work on. He's got to continue to improve on. He knows that. He's worked all off season on those things to be the best player that he can possibly be. But the thing about Haynes that you can't go without saying is just his leadership and the leadership role that he's really put himself into throughout the season last year, but also through this off season, and being the leader of the team, having command, having presence, and people believing in him. I think I talked about this last year, where you can't always just put all the faith and trust in one single person to win football games for you. I mean, it takes everyone's on the field at one time, all 11 on the field in all three phases to go out there. So everyone's got to take it personally to be able to elevate their game individually. For us to improve collectively to be able to win those without having to look at one singular person every time to go win a game for you. Now, if it happens, we're not going to turn it down. But now I've been really pleased with him, pleased with just his development like I said, as a leader, but as a young man. And a lot of really good conversations with him over this off season, and just kind of one-on-one talks. And he really putting himself in a position to be one of the best leaders I've seen at that position.
I'm just curious defensively, without getting into play calls or whatever, kind of what are your expectations? What are you looking for in terms of scheme? Is it going to be similar, just execution? Like, what are the things that you're looking for from Coach Santucci and his staff?
Stop the run, affect the quarterback, don't let the ball behind you and give up explosives. We do those three things, we'll be a much better football team.
Anything more for Coach?
Is it too early to start talking goals? I know it's just spring ball right now, but at what point do you sit your players down and say, like, this is what we want to accomplish next season?
Never. This is what we want to accomplish today. Y'all think I'm crazy when I say that. I really do. I mean, there's expectations, they just set you up for failure. And, everyone last year, but everyone asks, well, how many games do you think you're going to win? I'm like, well, I mean, you could just easily say, how many games do you think you're going to lose? Like, it's crazy. Now I do take a little note card at the beginning of the year after the last scrimmage of summer, and I write a number on it, and I put it in an envelope and put it in my desk. That was something I got from years ago from Coach O'Leary, and put that in my desk, and I open it up at the end of the year and see. And but as far as expectations to the team, our expectations are to be the absolute best player you can be and improve every single day. When you start putting numerical, statistical expectations on a team that's totally different than the previous year, that plays a totally different schedule than the previous year, it doesn't make sense to me how you can try to compare the two. So Internally, do you have wishes and hopes that you want to reach? Yeah, every single person does. But, as we said this morning in our team meeting, I mean, it's easy to say words. It's hard to show the actions every single day, to carry out that championship mindset that we want everybody to have.
May I ask you what your number was on that card last year?
Yeah, you can ask anything. I don't have to tell you.
No.
7. No, that's something I keep to myself, and but it's not for anybody else. It's just, it's almost an evaluation of where I feel the team is, personnel, in relation to other personnel in the league. The grit and toughness that team has to be able to overcome, sometimes personnel mismatches, schematically where we're at as a offense, defense, and special teams. So there's a lot more things that go into that than just predicting really wins. It's as much a evaluation to see where I'm at personally in my evaluation of the team coming out of preseason, going into the season.
Okay.
Kind of a different question, but you were mic'd up and you had a little button you could press to talk to the team through the speakers. Where did that idea come from? It seems like a great idea for a coach to not blow his voice out. Just curious where you got that from.
Last Thursday, I just thought about it. I mean, I've had a microphone before, and I like to be able to go to a bunch of all the different drills individual. I like to be able to, especially when you go split fields, be able to be at one spot here and then look over there and see that, and to aid in transitions of where guys are going, or you see guys that aren't running on the field. Right? Instead of screaming at the top of your lungs and no one really hearing you, microphone was a easy way to do it. But I mean, like, now you got microphone in your pocket, you got this in your pocket, you got this, and then all of a sudden your pants are falling down running from drill to drill. So, so I figured, I just asked if there was some way we could have a little switch or whatever and put it on there. It did. It made it a lot easier for me to be able to communicate and do things without having a mic coming out or carrying a microphone around. So I liked it. I think it'll help us as a team improve and be able to give direction and coaching across both fields now.
Anything else?
That's it.
All right. Go.
22 minutes and 22 seconds. That's it. Go Jackets.